What if you saw a child staring at you every night from a house that's supposed to be empty? What if you found a stranger living in the walls of the mansion you were house-sitting? And what if a basement door locked behind you, just as a pale woman whispered peekaboo from the shadows? These aren't ghost stories from a book. These are real encounters, shared by real people. And once you hear them, you'll never sleep the same way again. There was this half-finished estate just outside Vancouver that my friends, Marcus and Leo, became obsessed with after someone we loosely knew shared hauntingly pristine photos from an urban exploration trip there. It sat alone on a wide field, surrounded by towering trees like a fortress. And though the place was never completed, it looked frozen in time, immaculate in parts, abandoned in others. One chilly afternoon, curiosity got the best of us, and we made the trip. We slipped through an open kitchen window and split up to explore. I ended up in the basement, which was massive and entirely unfinished, lit only by my flashlight. While rummaging through some storage bins, I heard one of them shift. Assuming it was a raccoon, or maybe just nerves, I leaned in only for the lid to lift on its own and a pale woman's face to slowly emerge with a wide smile. She whispered peekaboo and giggled as I fell back, scrambling toward the spiral stairs in total panic. When I tried to escape, I found the basement door locked. I banged on it, yelling for Marcus and Leo, and heard slow footsteps descending behind me, along with soft, maddening whispers. Just before I completely lost it, Marcus opened the door and I sprinted out, only to catch a glimpse of her at the top of the steps, thin, gray-skinned, and staring directly at me. We bolted from the house, but an hour later, guilt twisted my gut, thinking she might have been real and trapped. We went back to unlock the door, only to find it wide open, even though we had all watched Leo lock it. That was enough for us. We left that mansion behind and never spoke of going back again. When I was about 9 years old, our family lived in a quiet, well-kept neighborhood nestled deep in a tree-lined suburb. Every house had its own style, but the one directly across from ours stood out. It was an enormous, almost regal-looking place that gave off an eerie stillness. My bedroom faced it, and occasionally I'd glance across to see if anyone ever moved in those darkened windows. One day, while playing kickball in the street with my friends Devin and Milo, our ball bounced onto the mansion's front yard. I jogged over to grab it and instinctively looked up. In the window above the entryway stood a young boy staring down at me. He didn't wave or smile, just stared. I returned to the game a bit shaken and asked my friends if they'd ever seen anyone living there, but they hadn't. A month later, I was playing video games in my room when I looked up again, and there he was, same boy, same window. He stared at me, motionless. This time I told my parents, and they looked confused. They were under the impression the house was empty. A few days later, I worked up the courage to knock on the mansion's door. An older woman answered, startled by my question when I asked if her son wanted to come outside and play. "What son?" she asked, her voice barely audible. I described the boy in the window, and her face drained of all color. She brought me inside, up to a bedroom with dusty shelves and old toys, and showed me a photo. It was the boy I'd seen. "That's my son," she said. "He passed away 10 years ago." I didn't know what to say. I ran home, too shaken to even cry. Months went by before I saw him again. One late night, I glanced at the mansion, and there he was watching me from the same window. I shut my blinds so fast they nearly broke. I never looked into that window again. A couple of summers ago, I was hired to house sit for a wealthy family in a lakefront mansion while they went on vacation for a week. They were friends of my parents, so it felt like a nice setup: get paid, enjoy the view, and pretend to live in luxury for 7 days. They had only one real rule: no more than 2 guests at a time. The first day went smoothly. I got settled, fed their 2 cats and parrots, and relaxed by the pool, which overlooked the lake like something out of a travel ad. That's when I noticed movement through the glass wall into the living room. I jumped out, heart racing, and ran inside, only to find a woman standing silently in the kitchen. She was tall, maybe mid-40s, and introduced herself in a thick accent as Anna, the housekeeper. She claimed she came daily to mop and sweep, and said she had her own key. That detail struck me as strange, but she seemed calm and professional, so I let her do her thing. Later, when I told my 2 friends about her, they were immediately suspicious. Why wouldn't the family tell you someone else would be coming in, they asked. I texted the homeowner, James, and didn't hear back for hours. When he finally replied, all he sent was, "What housekeeper?" followed by a call. I gave him every detail, and he insisted they never hired anyone else, no keys, no cleaners. He urged me to lock the doors and wait in a room while he called the police. By the time they arrived, Anna was gone. We searched the entire house, but found nothing. I stayed the night, but barely slept. Then, around 2 a.m., I heard creaking from under the guest bed. When I looked underneath, 2 people were curled beneath it, Anna and a man with his hand over her mouth. They both stared back at me, unblinking. I bolted from the room barefoot, ran to my car, and called the cops. By the time they arrived, again, the house was empty. James cut his vacation short and returned the next day. We never figured out who they were, how they got in, or what they wanted, but I'm certain of one thing. They knew I'd be there, and they were planning to wait me out.